meditating a separate self-identity, what does it mean, especially the word identity? Okay? With the grace of Bhagavan Ramana, in 1973, I reached the place of completing my sadhana, and have been abiding in the awareness of being ever since then. And since abiding in the awareness of being, I now am able to look and see and function from the awareness as the awareness, and be able to observe what formerly, before that awakening, was the state in which I lived, which, without judgment, I see to be the state that the majority of ordinary people in the world are living. And that state is the meditation of a separate self-identity. Now let me explain that. If it needs any further explanation, it's seeing from awareness of the self that we actually are. Since I choose to live and recognize the self as being the one self that we all are. Now, the people coming here, not only here but to our ashram in America, the people who come for involved in their quest to have their own awakening are identifying themselves to be their body and identifying with their mind and the role that they are playing every day in life as to who they take themselves to be as a body-mind entity. Born of certain parents on a certain day, in a certain city, in a certain country, and my parents were, my father did such and such a work. I now am such and such an individual doing different, whatever my job is, whatever my vocation happens to be, or my duties in life happen to be. That's identifying with the body and the mind as though that is who and what one is. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Well, when we are identified with the body and the mind as though that's who and what we are, when the fact of the matter is, that the truth is, that we're actually the faceless, formless awareness of being that was never born and that will never die, that our true nature is consciousness, awareness, uncaused, unqualified, pure being, not a form, not a person, not an individual living in time and space, but that's who we, if we're identified with that, and that's what we're assuming ourselves to be, and who we're assuming ourselves to be, then we're taking that to be our identity, the self that we're taking ourselves to be. All right? So, what does it mean? Especially the meaning identity. Your name and form that you are identified with and calling you and calling me as a separate entity living in time and space. That's the identity I'm talking about. Is that who you think you are? No judgment, just look.
That's who I'm identified with, yeah.
Well, when we are taking ourselves to be such an entity, that's meditating a separate self-identity. And that puts us in the category of living in time and space, and in the limitation of time and space, when the truth is, capital T, we are the absolute, unqualified, unconditioned, pure being, the self, that was unborn and which will never die. That's spiritual awakening.